All right, so I've got a couple of things I want to show you with the batteries for WIL. First thing is this little cell checker, and the way it works is we've got this sort of wire sticking out to the side of our batteries. What we're going to do is look for the minus sign we see right there, and that's going to go on the farthest black wire. So in this case, on this battery, that minus is going to go right there. So when we plug it in, it's going to beep at us, and then it's going to tell us what each cell in this battery is charged to. So you can see it rotating through. All of them put together, 16.6 volts. Number one's 4.13, number two's 4.14, so on and so forth. And ideally, you'd like these to be pretty close to each other, in the range of 3.5 to 4.2 volts. If you start going much less than 3.5 per cell, it will, it's very close to dying, so you probably want to stop using it. All right, that's one type of battery. We've also got this blue robotics battery, which has different colored wires, but the most important one is this black one, and it is the negative. So we go ahead, put it in, it beeps at us, and again, we can check what the voltage on our battery in each cell is. All right, so now if we actually wanted to charge these batteries, we've got a couple different ways. The first one is this Tenergy charger, and it's really simple to set up. You just have a power supply, which we will plug in. Whoops. All right. And then once you've plugged in the power supply, you'll take your adapter wire here. Really simple, red to red, black to black. And then you'll find the appropriate connector that connects to our battery. So in this case, this is an XT90. All right, so we can plug that in. And then for this Tenergy charger, we have this sort of adapter cable. You can either plug this cable directly into the side here, and you'll just need to make sure you line it up properly based on the schematic here. So that negative would go all the way at the top. But if you don't want to do it wrong, if you want it to be sailor proof, you can plug in this adapter. It can only go one way. And then on here, you'll find the same number of pins. So this is a 5-pin, which corresponds to this 4S here. And it can just plug in. There's only one direction for it to plug in. All right, so that's how you connect up the battery. Now on the actual charger itself, we have a couple of options. So there are different battery chemistries. So if we go and look, oh, not mode increase, maybe if we go, okay, so mode changes the mode here. So we can see we've got lithium polymer, nickel metal hydride, nickel cadmium, and lead batteries. And then there's some programs that we can set and go through. But just double check the batteries you're using. All the ones we have for WIL are lithium polymer. So that's the LiPo right here. And so we'll hit enter. And now there are a couple different modes. So if we now use the increment and decrement button, there's charge, there's balance, there's fast charge, there's storage, discharge. Typically you're going to want to charge, so you can set a current. This charger maxes out at around 5 amps. I don't like to charge them at the full current. I like to back it off a little bit. And then if we hit enter, we can then go through and change what kind of battery we have. So you see this 1S, 2S, 3S, that's talking about the number of cells you have. And in this case, we plugged into that 4S socket, so we know that this is a 4S. You can also read on the battery itself, it should tell you. So when you're ready to charge, you hit enter. It's going to check the battery and make sure it agrees, and you should just look at these and make sure it looks right. And if we hit enter, it will start charging. Now this one should be pretty close to done. Let's see if it'll beep at us. This will beep at you. You shouldn't leave it alone. You should always monitor it while it's charging, so you shouldn't plug it up, go out to eat to lunch, don't do that. This will start beeping when it's time to take it off. And as well as it's charging, you should check and make sure the battery itself is not swelling or anything else going on. All right. And then if you ever need to store the battery, like let's say you know that you're not going to use the battery for more than a couple of days, you should go through and let it run through this storage mode. All right, so that's with the Tenergy charger, but we also have this Blue Robotics charger. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. It's, again, really similar. You've got a main body, you've got various adapters, and then you have your power adapter. So let's go ahead and plug this one in. All right, so there it's coming on. And then it gave us this XT60 to XT90 adapter, which plugs right in on the side. So we can plug in there, connect up our battery. And then I'm going to take this 5-pin adapter and plug it into the side. And again, this connector can only go one way. So I see there's only one way to put it. But again, if you didn't have this adapter, you can always just plug in the cable directly from the battery, knowing that that's a negative, just like we did for that cell tester at the beginning. Right? So we plug this in the only way it goes. And then we can go ahead and take this cable. And again, it only has one way that it can connect as well. I haven't quite figured out what Blue Robotics has these other two cables sticking out for, but for charging and using WIL, we haven't needed them yet. Right? So the Blue Robotics has a little bit of a nicer interface. We hit the circle and we can select a task, which is either going to be charge or storage. So in this case, we're going to do charge. It's already detected that we've got a 4S. If you had a bigger battery, you could go and set that here. All right, and you can also read on the battery. It should tell you what kind of battery it is. There's that 4S that we have on there. All right, and then we can hit start task and it will start charging. And again, this one's also going to beep when it's done, and you should see that the current drops when it's near about done. So for these 4S batteries, we've got 4.2 times 4, which should be around 16.8 volts. So it looks like it's pretty good to go. And then if we wanted to stop it, we just hit the circle, hit stop, and then we could select a different task, like if we're going to store it, and then we could start that task there. So that's the basics of working with these batteries. Again, just make sure, I like to charge these up the night before I want to take WIL out, and then I put them in storage I run the storage mode if I haven't used up all their charge. Or if they get discharged really low, you can still run the storage and it'll charge them back up to a good voltage to just sit on a shelf. All right, thank you.